She got into the industry kicking and screaming.
It took 4 or 5 approaches before I said, okay.
But quickly saw the potential.
Every business button I had went bing, 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 bing.
And used her unique style to build a network marketing empire at record speed.
I don't believe in duplication. I built an organization of 400,000 people globally, and I never talked about duplication.
Today, she is one of the top female income earners in the entire direct sales industry.
You've got to get the company timing right, and you've got to get the locale of where you're building that timing to be right.
Onyx Coale stops by to share her winning strategy. Coming up now on Home Business Television.
From Hollywood, it's Home Business Television, the hotspot for your home business success. And now, with your home business hookup, your host, Coale Beeman.
What does it take to get from your very first network opportunity meeting all the way to the top of the entire industry? Well, my guest today has done it. She is one of the most successful women in the entire industry, and she's stopping by today to share with us exactly what it takes. Onyx Coale, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Happy to have you here. You know, I've heard you say that in the beginning you were kind of dragged into the industry kicking and screaming. And I know that there probably are people who are watching that are either feeling that way or have felt that way. And I'm curious, what was your perception of the industry at that time, and what changed for you that made you say, okay, I'll take a look?
I didn't really get introduced into network marketing until I was 39. But probably from when I was young, maybe 20, people were bringing me network marketing opportunities. And every time I was like, oh, is that one of those pyramid things? Run, run, run. And I always just ran. And the reason that I looked at it when I was 39 was the people who approached me didn't approach me once. They didn't approach me twice. They didn't approach me 3 times. It took 4 or 5 approaches before I said, okay, if I don't go, they're never going to leave me alone. And so I finally went just really to get them to leave me alone. But when I went and I sat in the chair and I watched for the first time in my life the circles being drawn, every business button I had went bing, 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 bing. Oh my gosh, this is insane. And everything switched.
So that's a message for people in persistence. You know, no doesn't mean no. It just kind of means not right now.
And a lot of things that I teach is that we all have this caliber of getting from a no to a yes. And if you think about, I have children. If I think about, one of my teenagers comes home and says, Mom, I want to go to a movie. The first thing I say is no. And then I start to ask a few questions. Well, who's going to be going to the movie? How are you going to get there? Who's going to bring you home? What movie you're going to see? And what I'm doing is I'm moving myself from a definite no into a yes. And after figuring out a few questions, I've moved from the no to the yes. It's a very same thing in network marketing. We are there moving people from the no to the yes, and what they're basically walking through is, could they see themselves do this business? Some people will walk through that thing in 10 minutes. Some people, it'll take weeks. So it depends on who you're talking to.
What did you do when you first started to really connect with people, to get them to get your own business into momentum?
The key to this business, I don't care what company you're in, the key to this business is sponsoring people. And once you master the skill of inviting, you own your business. No one can take it away. So I spend 90% of my time inviting people into my business. Now, I'm a single mom. Actually, I just got engaged, so I can't say that for too much longer. But
congratulations!
Thank you. But I have operated as a single mom for many, many years. And I had to figure out, how am I going to make this work? Now, I personally don't believe in balance. I think balance was invented by the same guy who invented pantyhose, and we're never going to actually accomplish it. So what instead I believe in is presence. And so I choose to be present with my children when it's my time with my children. I choose to be present with my business when it's time to be with my business. I choose to be present with myself when it's time that I'm pouring into myself. I had to figure out, how am I going to do this business? Because most of us women, we build these businesses in the nooks and crannies of our lives. And so I set a goal that was very attainable. And my goal is really simple: 2 people a day. I knew that no matter what, come rain, come the dog getting sick, coming I have to take a kid out of school, homework needs to be done, whatever it is, I can go out each and every day and speak to 2 people a day, 2 brand new people a day about this business. And that's how I mastered this business and the skill of inviting over time.
What would your advice be to somebody who is, I guess, more on the introverted side, who, says, I don't really have, I don't want to say any friends, but a big network, or a family that's open, and are a little on the introverted side? What can they do to get their business going? What do they need to overcome as well?
I think in network marketing, any gene will do. We are all good enough. It doesn't matter your race, your color, your religion, whether you're outgoing, whether you're introverted, whether you're great on the internet, whether you're great with people, whether you're great on freeways, whether you're great in the front of the room. The key is to figure out what you're good at and multiply it. So, for instance, if you're more of an introverted person, then I would spend my time. Did you ever read the book, The Tipping Point? Where you're trying to get your business to the point where and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And in that book, one of the things they talk about was the different types of people. And there are certain people out there that are connectors. And what does that mean? That means they have a slew of friends. It could be the mom at the soccer game that is always organized everybody. It could be a woman at the gas station. It could be, one of your girlfriends that that's just always organizing the parties. So start to hone your skill for noticing when you're around somebody who's a connector. And go for that person. And you can be right up front and say, you are going to be amazing at this business. The other thing you can do is when your team starts to grow, spend a lot of time giving them information that they don't have time necessarily to find, like when the next meeting is, when the next this is going on, so that you're always promoting for everybody who isn't spending as much time promoting because they're spending a lot of time.
What were some of the strategies that you first used to get going? What was most effective for you in your business?
Learn how to talk less. So I'm a woman, and I have never met a woman that doesn't like to talk. We're just talk. And I'm easily excited, and I love sharing something that I know is going to make a difference in somebody's life, health-wise and wealth-wise. And so I had to learn the power of holding all that energy within and not throwing up and telling them everything I had to say, but simply holding it within and getting them running towards me. And that is a skill that you will develop. It's part of mastering this business.
We all have those kind of stories in our career where, you might be struggling for a while, but then there was a breakthrough, or you felt like you're kind of banging your head up against the wall, and then there was a breakthrough. Share with me if you had that moment for yourself, what that might have been like and how you made your first initial breakthrough in the industry.
I think the hardest thing for me was listening to everybody's negativity in the beginning. It deflated my balloon. And I didn't invite many people into my business, many of my family and my friend, because one of my first people that I spoke to was one of my girlfriends. And she was a massage therapist. And she had been in every company out there, so I thought for sure she would say yes to me, right? And so I went running to her, all excited. I threw up all over. I told her everything there was to know, and she said no to me. This is one of my girlfriends. And my balloon deflated, and I thought, oh no. If she's going to say no to me, maybe he's going to say no to me, maybe he's going to say no to me. Fine. I'm not going to talk to any of my friends and family. I'm just going to go after some of my business contacts. And I began building it that way. Well, what I recognized was I left a whole group of people behind that I should have never left behind. And so once I had earned the free car, my sister was one of the people who said no. And when I earned the free car, the first call that I made was to my sister. And I said to her, Lisa, and she says, what? I said, they're going to buy me a Mercedes. And she's like, really? I said, yes, and it's hotter than yours. Click. And I hung up the phone. And so it's part of that learning on what to say and what to say. And that was, for me, that it's not for everybody today. They might not actually be for your business. Part of your job might be honing your skill and warming them up for somebody else. They may be meant for somebody else's business. So every day I wake up and I say, please God, bring me people that I can help today. Now that could be people in my business, but it could be people just in regular life that I come across. And for me, I believe in being a beacon of who I am. I think when we are all in alignment with who we are so incredibly attractive people just come running to be near you. So I always say, I don't believe in duplication. I built an organization of 400,000 people globally, and I never talked about duplication. I didn't grow up in this industry. I think that there are ways to share your product or ways to talk to people, but those ways are universal to every company. People join this business because of you. And when you are in alignment with who you are, they want a part of it. And so I recognize that I never sell out. I always stay focused on who I am and what I stand for, and I stand in the gap for other women because I think it's extremely important that we lift each other up. And I don't worry about duplicating. I worry about helping people get to their full light, whatever that is, because in that, people can't help it. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? And one of the things that I love to say to people is have fun. If you're not having fun in this business, you're not doing it right. And in today's environment, we are all so weighted down. I don't know anybody that isn't walking through something emotional, isn't walking through, some kind of trauma, a financial trauma, an emotional trauma, somebody in their family going through a divorce. We're all really struggling. And so what I say to my teams is tell jokes. They're like, what do you mean? Practice saying jokes to each other. Practice making yourself lighter, because in that levity, other people are attracted. And when you're having fun, this isn't a job.
You said so much in that statement, Onyx, and I wanted to just follow up on a couple of things from that. First of all, you talked about people being afraid of no, or shutting down after no, and it's part of the process. And I think if you could kind of speak a little bit to being able to embrace that more for people, and how it's ultimately part of success, I guess, at the end of the day.
Challenge is we look at it when somebody says no like we're mortally wounded. Like they've just said no to me and my life is over and that's it. What am I going to do? That's not what's going on. 98% of the time, it's them. It's their perception of the world. Think about who I was from when I was 20 until I was 39. I said no, I said no, I said run away, no, 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 no. It wasn't about how they were presenting to me. It was about what was going on in my mind about what was possible. And the reality is, I was afraid of something I knew nothing about. Shame on me. Imagine if I had met network marketing when I was 20. Imagine what could have been created. But I wasn't ready. So it wasn't about the person that was presenting to me or that was offering or that was sharing to me. It was about where I was at that particular time. And so I always say to people, when you get a no, don't take it as a no, never, don't you ever talk to me again. Leave them alone and come back to them in another 4 to 6 weeks, changing your approach. But again, if you're spending all of your time speaking, you're more likely to get a no than setting it up so that they're asking you questions. It's a very different way of communicating.
Share with us, if you would, maybe some pointers on how to get people to start asking you questions.
So let's say that I'm at a luncheon with 8 women, and I might drop just a little seed on the table. I might say something like, I'm having so much fun at my new business. And that's it. Or I might say, has anybody seen one of these paint strips? It says love in 20 languages. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe all of the new friends that I've made. So I make one statement. Now let's say there's 8 women at the table. Nobody responds. Guess what? I am not talking about my business today. What am I going to do? I'm going to spend the time listening and learning who these women are and what they're about. Okay? Let's say somebody responds, a new business? What are you talking about, Onyx? Now, most of us would hear something like that and we go, I have so much to tell you. We're going to talk for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes and I'm going to tell you everything for how you're going to earn a free car, to how you're going to make all this money, to how you're going to help all these people, to how this product is going to change your life, right? And they're like running in the other direction. Instead, when somebody says, a new business, Onyx, what is that? I will have a very short, succinct answer. And then what I do is I turn the conversation right back onto them. So I might say, I answer their question shortly. I mean, under a sentence if you can. Short. Turn the conversation back onto them. I remember you said your son is playing soccer in Japan. How's that going? They're going to talk. After a while, They're going to be like, uh-oh, I'm doing all the talking. And they're going to ask another question about the business that I gave that short answer. Again, I'm going to answer their question very short, and I'm going to turn the conversation right back onto him or her. So what I've done is I keep pushing the conversation back onto them, and what are they doing? They keep coming back at me. I need to know more. I need to know more. I need to know more. Now, who's in the position of power? I'm in, because I'm controlling the conversation. And it's not a manipulative thing. It's that I recognize that if I keep throwing up on people, they're running. I have to do something that attracts them to me rather than pushes them away from me. And so this technique, I mean, it's been worth millions. It's been absolutely worth millions because it's helped me to relate to people, and it's helped them to open their eyes to the possibility of what I'm holding inside that I'm so excited about that I can't wait to share because I really have 20 minutes worth of stuff to tell you. But I can't tell it all because Onyx says I can't, so I have to hold it all inside. It's a very different energy, and it makes them want what you've got. And that's the goal. That's the end goal. Because you know, and I know, you can change their lives. You know that. But you got to get them to see it. So if you're putting your perception on them, they can't see it. They have to be coming towards you.
You know, you mentioned something earlier that really ties into what you just said about being ready for the opportunity and also just the growth that needs to take place from within. And I'm curious about how you are able to, point that out to people, I guess is the right word. But, you know, we always hear that, you know, this industry is, you know, personal development disguised as a business. And some people coming in might not quite understand how true that is. How do you go about, you know, getting people onto that path of the mindset that they need and the growth that they need from within for their own success?
Your success is going to happen based on your sphere of influence or your ability to sponsor somebody in your business who has a large sphere of influence. So how do you attract somebody with a big sphere of influence if you aren't that? You know, I used to have a girlfriend that used to say, oh, I would love to marry Brad Pitt. And I would just look at her and say, really? Do you have the qualities that somebody like Brad Pitt would want to marry? And she would just go, Onyx, because that's exactly the point. So to develop a large sphere of influence, I always say become an expert at something. It doesn't have to be network marketing. You could be an expert at kids soccer. You could be an expert at investing in gold. You could be an expert at communicating with other people. Whatever you are an expert at, that gives you a sphere of influence. And when you have a sphere of influence, you have the ability to change and affect people's lives for the positive. So that's what you're looking to develop. Now, what I like to talk about is your success is driven by you. So when my business goes up, it's because of me. When my business goes down, it's because of me. It's not because of my sponsor. It's not because of the comp plan. It's not because of the company. It's not because of the product. It's because of me. So I'm always looking in the mirror saying, what is it that I'm doing right and what is it that I'm doing wrong that I need to be shifting so that, one, I stay in perfect alignment, and two, my business goes in the direction that I want it to go. And so I'm constantly checking in with myself. And I am a disciplined girl. There's no question. You know, I do things because they're good for me. You know, I drink water every day because it's good for me. I work out. I'm committed to my health. These are the things that I do because they matter to me. And for my business, the deal that I make with myself is 2 new contacts a day. And that's it. I don't care. It has to be 2 a day. So at the end of 7 days, I have to have talked to 14 new people. But at the end of the month, I would have talked to 56. And at the end of the second month, I'm talked to 112 people. You tell me if you've talked to 112 people that your business won't be different, because I guarantee you it will be different. And what will be different is you. Your confidence will change, your ability to invite people and attract people in, your ability to talk without throwing up all over them. That's what's going to change in 2 people a day. That's what changed for me. That's the only thing. And the difference was I never went into management mode, ever. So every single day, 2 people a day, 2 people a day, 2 people a day. That's how you grow your business.
You mentioned about discipline, and you know, you grew your business from the ground up fast, like really fast. And obviously there's great discipline involved in doing that. I'm curious, what else did you have? Did you set that intention in the very beginning to do that so quickly? And if you could share what, maybe what a typical day should look like for a new person who wants to achieve what you achieved in that time frame.
I think it depends on where you are personally. I always say to be a massive success in network marketing, there are a few things that have to align. One, you have to have a company with the right timing. So there's company timing, and I have found that you can have the company with the right timing, but your market, like the United States or Japan or Korea or Brazil, you could be in the United States, but the timing in the US is not right. The timing in Japan is perfect, even though if the company timing is correct. So you've got to get the company timing right, and you've got to get the locale of where you're building that timing to be right. Then you need your personal timing to be right. And so some people are ready to, they're ready to get up and start building this business straight away. They've got a large sphere of influence. They're ready to rock and roll. Some of them even come to this industry with all of the tools that they need. They simply need to learn either the business model or they need to learn the specifics on the product that they're going to be speaking about. But otherwise, they're ready to go. That kind of person is very different than somebody who's never sat in an Anthony Robbins seminar, who hasn't read any books on self-development, who hasn't done any work. That person's personal timing is probably not going to match. So that person will probably spend some time on personal development so that they will attract more people into their business.
When it comes to like the company timing, and there's I'm sure lots of people watching that are looking at various businesses and companies to join. What do they need to look for? What are some of those qualities that suggest that this is the right time for this particular company? What should they be looking for?
So I'm a woman, and one of the things that I've recognized is we women, we are product driven. And so I was never comfortable to speak about a product that I wasn't willing to use. That put me immediately out of alignment, all right? So even though I might love the people, even though the company timing may be right, if I'm not willing to be part and utilize that product, I knew it would knock me out of alignment immediately. So that wouldn't work. One of the most important things I think we look for is momentum. Now this is a really tricky thing because I probably get 4 or 5 messages a day on Facebook saying, Onyx, you got to look at this. You could be the first one in, and it's brand new, and it's going to explode, and oh my gosh, and you could be the master distributor, or you could be whatever they offer me. And I just giggle, and I say, I want to be first. And they're like, what do you mean you don't want to be first? That's where all the money's made. No, I'll tell you the secret. That's not where all the money is made. The single best time to join an MLM company is when the sales are between 50 million and 350 million. This is the growth of phase that when the bar basically goes lateral like this, and this is when the most momentum occurs, and this is when the most millionaires are made. So there's a huge difference, though, in a company that's doing $50 million annually to a company that's doing $350 million annually. The difference is a company doing $50 million annually, generally speaking, will have a product that is working. They will have obviously in today's world, we'll have the internet, the whole websites. They will have brochures, and all of that stuff is here, but it's not working perfectly. The brochures aren't as pretty as they could be. The product packaging isn't as gorgeous as it could be. It's not all here, but the things that you need are here. When you get to a company that's doing $350 million annually, it's beautiful. The packaging is beautiful. The product looks great. The website is perfect. It's just fantastic. It's easy to say yes, but here's the difference. That ride, that momentum ride. So a lot of companies will sit flat. They'll be flatlined for years, and some will be flat for 6 months. Some will be, do $1 million or $2 million of sales for 5 years. It depends. I'm looking for that momentum to have begun. Now that momentum for me is between that 50 million and 350 million. But if you find a company that's at $50 million annually, you're going to get a double from 50 million to 100 million. You're going to get a double from 100 million to 200 million. You're going to get a double from 200 million to 400 million, and you're going to get another double from 400 million to 800 million. If you say yes when the company is 350 million, you're going to get one double from 350 to 700, instead of 4 doubles finding a company at $50 million annually. See the difference? It's huge. It's huge. So I think finding a company in momentum is extremely important. I also think when I sat back and I looked at all the different companies, one of the things that I noticed is the companies that tend to run to $1 billion in sales tend to do it on one product. Monavie did it on a bottle of juice. Visalis did it on weight loss. Miriam will do it on the face cream. OG will do it on coffee. It will happen, but they tend to do it on one product. Why? Because when you have a group of distributors all speaking about one thing, not confused because we've got 50 different products to pick from, then it makes it easier to push that company into momentum. However, the other thing that I noticed is the only companies that maintain $1 billion in sales tend to have a catalog of products. And so when they don't develop, just when that company is rising is when they should be developing that catalog, and oftentimes they don't spend the time developing the catalog, so then it goes down just as fast as it came up. So it's just interesting things that I've noticed in the market. The other thing I would say to you is pick your sponsor. This is a business decision. And so I did not pick my sponsor the first time. I didn't know what I was doing. I was young. I was naive. I sat in a home presentation. I thought, wow, this is cool. Okay. And I just signed up. If you've done this before, if you've said yes to another company, and this is your second or third or whatever it is, I encourage you to pick your sponsor. It's one of the most important decisions that you will make, because that person is going to be your cheerleader. They're going to go to work for you. They're going to help you be the best you that you can be. So you don't want to pick somebody that you're not in alignment with. And same with don't sponsor somebody that you don't want to take their phone calls. So if you know somebody is grumpy and they drive you around the bend, for Pete's sakes, don't invite them into your business. Only invite people that you want to work with into your business, because when you sponsor somebody, you go to work for them.
One of the great things about this industry is that you can absolutely surround yourself with who you want to be around.
Right. That's right.
And we've seen the evolution of this industry really evolve, especially with the addition now of social media and people being able to connect with more people via the internet. And I'd love to hear your philosophy on really how best to incorporate that, because it's a reality, in terms of a reality presence, and how to best incorporate that so that you are building your business as a professional in the industry.
I think that we have to have both. I think that this is not a belly-to-belly business only anymore, and I think this is not a long-term sustainable business on the internet only. So I think you need to have a combination of both, is the first thing I'll tell you. I would also tell you that I went kicking and screaming into social media because I've been always very high-touch, very low-tech, as you've seen, and I finally kept hearing, I kept presenting, and everybody kept saying, how do I use Facebook to build? How do I use Facebook to build? How do I use social media to build? And I said, okay, I guess I've got to master this, because this is the next platform that I needed to overcome. Well, here's one of the things that I noticed. Facebook is people are not afraid of it in terms of when you meet a stranger at a Costco line or at the grocery store or whatever, and you start talking about your product, or you start talking about pain or whatever it is that you're speaking about. And at the end, you're able to say something like, I've had a really great conversation with you. I've enjoyed my time. I'd love to stay connected. Now, in the old days, we would try and get their phone number. That's one of the hardest things to do, I believe, from a stranger, because they don't know who you are and they want to give you their phone number. No way. But I have found people are not afraid to say, you can say to them, I'd love to stay connected. How about if we become friends on Facebook? And they're like, oh. Immediately the guard goes down. And so what I do is I pull out 2 business cards. I give them one, and I flip my other one over, and I write their name down on my business card, on the back of my business card. And the deal that I have with myself, like I have the deal of 2 people a day, I have the same deal with the business cards. When I make a contact and I put their name on the back, I have the deal with myself is that I have to connect with them as a friend on Facebook within 24 hours. Now, we're going to take this whole conversation like we did about not speaking too much and getting them to ask you questions. A lot of people, once they connect on Facebook, the first thing they want to do is they want to start blasting and telling them everything there is to know about their opportunity. Don't do that. Your goal is still the same, is to get them to come towards you. So the way to do that is to just send them a little note. Hey, I had a great time chatting with you. It was great giggling at Costco or whatever it is. Don't mention about your opportunity. And you might just say, how's your son? How's this? How's that? And open the conversation. What people are doing, especially people who don't know you on Facebook, is they're watching you. They're watching to see if you're the kind of person they want to be in business with. So, if you're putting pictures of you being drunk at a bar out on Facebook, you're probably not doing your business any great success. So if you're using this as a business platform, then operate it as a business platform. And be the kind of person online and offline that other people want to be around.
I chuckle when you say several times about resisting the urge to throw up all over people with your opportunity, and it can be hard because you are so excited, especially if you're super passionate about your business. It can be hard. Do you have any tricks, or did you have any tricks that you kind of use with yourself, or that you share with your team to kind of help them to bring them back and say, don't do that?
I never tell anybody not to do something, first of all. I think everybody has to discover everything on their own. But I might look at them and say, how did that work? And, well, they didn't sign up. Okay, so could we try this? You kind of have to let people flap around on the pavement like a fish for a little while until they figure out, okay, now this isn't working. Okay, great, let's check in, let's find out what is working. All right, what can we do? How can we fine-tune this a little bit? Because it's usually 10 degrees. It's not usually very, very far. This is the hardest thing for a woman to master. And I'm the same, I'm very excited. But there's a great pleasure in holding in all of that excitement and all of that information, holding in your heart, knowing that you're going to get to share it with them. But if you give it all to them up front, you'll never get to share it with them. So you have to hold it in and enjoy savor the reeling them in, if you like, that they're running towards you. Because what you've got is so attractive. Because you are so attractive. Because you're in alignment, you're having fun, you're playful, and you're enjoying life. They want a part of that.
So what has this industry taught you, or what have you learned from it the most?
I think the industry has taught me so very much. It's taught me about people, and it's taught me about community, and it's taught me about what's important to women. And I think one of the things that I learned that was so beautiful is that no matter where I go in the world, whether I'm in Malaysia, whether I'm in India, whether I'm in Mexico, whether I'm in the United States, whether I'm in China, it doesn't matter where I am in the world. We women all want the same thing. We want our lives to be just a little bit better. We want a little bit better house, or we want a little bit better school for our children, or we want to be able to do something nice for our partners. We want life to be just a little bit better. So one of the things that I noticed was this beautiful thread that goes through all of us human beings across the world. And the Dalai Lama said something in '09 that really just moved me. And he said that Western women will change the world. And I think he's right. I think he's right. And I think that through network marketing, we'll have a chance to do that because it gives us a community in which to connect with each other. And so I had put something on my Facebook because my sister-in-law has been in the hospital. And I just put a little note that said, anybody who would make prayers, would you please pray, because we're praying for a miracle right now. And there was like over 175 messages from all over the world, from Russia and from Israel and from America and from the Ukraine and from the Philippines. And I thought to myself, the thing this industry has given me is not the millions of dollars. That was great, but that doesn't matter. The thing this industry has given me is a depth of relationships with people all over the world that I would have never had if I didn't sit in that seat and watch those circles being drawn for the first time. That's what rattles you. And I know it rattles all of us when they say no, we're like, what, are you crazy? You can't say no to me. This is going to change your life. But they weren't ready, like I wasn't ready. And now I just sit back and I think, gosh, I'm grateful. Gosh, I'm lucky, because this industry has taught me people, and it's taught me how to connect at a level that I never knew was possible. So my life is rich. Whether they say yes or no, my life is rich because I had an opportunity to connect with somebody else. That's what this industry will keep.
Onyx, thank you so much for stopping by today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. And anything I can do to help any of you, feel free to connect with me on Facebook. Any way that I can help you, it's my pleasure. I think we all stand in the gap for each other, and without each other, our lives are are boring, you know. So anything I can do to help. I want to see all of you at the top. There's plenty of space for everybody.
Well, thank you again. It has been a pleasure having you here. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Home Business Television. Now, if you've gotten some value here today, please leave us a comment in the comment box below. And to access more great industry interviews, please subscribe to HBTV by clicking the link below. We'll see you next time. Take care.